All right, so welcome to our Ask Us web event. Oh, just one second here, it looks like. All right, sorry. I was making sure we had everybody on. All right, so as we start going through the slides here, feel free to start sending your questions that you'd like us to cover to the chat box. And just to note, if something is too much of a complex question or needs a lot more follow-up, we may just show a high-level answer and then follow up with you after this webinar to help you in more detail. So if we kind of cut you short, don't take offense. We will follow up with you. We just want to be able to stay on time and give everybody a chance to ask questions. All right. So I have a couple of slides to go through here. First, again, this is Jessica Wirt, the Customer Success Manager here at Simplesoft. And our two experts that we're going to have on the call today are Terry Unger and John Eltsroth, our two project managers here. And I'm sure many of you have worked with both of them in the past. Welcome, John and Terry.
Thank you much.
Thank you. Thank you much.
All right. All right, so today's agenda, we already did introductions. I'm going to show some upcoming events, and then we're going to review some commonly asked questions first that us three hear a lot here at Simplesoft, and then we'll kind of open it up for open discussion. Really quick, I wanted to ask, are you guys following us? We have several social media sites, and I would encourage strongly for you to follow us, especially subscribe to our YouTube channel, as we put a lot of videos and free answers on there for you guys, right? So there's a lot of tutorials and how-tos and demonstrations of features. And if you ever have feedback on a video series or something you'd like to see, email me and I'll be happy to do it for you. Another great resource we offer is our blog. If you go to our website, simplesoft.net, you will see on the right-hand side, it says our blog. And again, this is a lot of good information. We post when there are software updates available. We post when there's fixes available for common issues, new features, again, how-tos. So it's a great resource to remember. So be sure to check those out. Upcoming events, we have a partnered event with Synergy, an Infor ERP partner that we work with a lot. We're just going to be talking about sales success in an integrated CRM system. The 13th, we're demoing a phone system integration, which is a great tool to enhance the customer experience, right? We're going to talk a lot about how knowing your customers is key and having a phone system that tells you who's calling and products they've bought from you recently, right? Before you even answer the phone, how that can be important. And then we have another partnered event coming up with Growth Dynamics, a sales team analysis and selection company. And they're going to talk a lot about managing the manufacturer to distributor relationship and vice versa, the importance of that. So some good events coming up. All right, so I'm going to start going through the common questions. Terry, John, feel free to jump in on any of these, or if anyone wants to discuss any of these that's on the call, feel free to ping us in the chat box. All right, First one up, I'm trying to convert a lead and it's throwing an error. We hear this a lot. And so when you convert a lead, there's a lot of things that have to happen in the CRM, right? It's creating an account and contact. It's creating your opportunity. So it takes a minute. And so the screen, the little round thing at the top will be spinning, right? So if you keep hitting convert over and over, the system's going to go back and try to convert the lead again, and it's going to give you an error. So that's why that happens 99% of the time.
And that can happen in other areas as well. If Infor CRM is currently processing and that icon is spinning and you try to rush it, then you may get bad results.
Good point, good point.
Or at least an error message, that is.
Good point. And something to note too, if you keep getting an error, screenshot it, because that helps John and Terry know, where you were and what you were trying, helps them investigate. So that's always a good tip too. Another one is, I can't find an account or contact I know I entered. And so this goes back to just practicing good searching techniques, right? Knowing how to change the lookup condition and knowing what the different ones give you. A big one we see, right, is as you can see, I used Bob's business and as an example. People enter it different ways. And if you try searching the full name and it's not typed exactly right, you won't find your results. So just remembering to use that contains to look through some of your results to find what you need.
Another time that I see this is they may enter an account, but they provide an ownership of the account that they don't have rights to. And so after that account's been saved, they no longer have rights to it.
Oh, okay. So if you're on the Midwest team and they accidentally assign it to the Southwest team.
Right.
Gotcha.
Which could be a simple clerical error, but then they may say, well, I know I created it, and then create a second one. Just because they can't see it.
That's a good one. All right. Why can't I review what my team is doing in CRM? So we hear this from leadership a lot. And so we put here, right, the data is only there if you have a process to gather it, right? So that's one piece, is ask yourself as a leader. We talked about this on our last month's webinar. Do you have a process of what your CRM users are supposed to be putting in the CRM? Have you told them what you want to see in the CRM? And so once you feel like you're gathering that, then of course, right, as we showed in another webinar, there's endless ways to make groups and filtered results to show you the actions that people are taking in the CRM. All right. Why aren't all my filters showing when I'm in a group? So the note we have here is the field, the filter references, has to be a column in the group. And the example we use is the state. So if state is an option as a filter, it won't show in the filters if the group you're looking at does not have it as a column. And then another best practice is we always say hit the clear all button in that top right above the filters, because if you log out and log back in, it holds those filters. And then sometimes people, again, wonder where all their info went, and it's because there's filters selected. Okay. All right. How do I know my sales team? How do I know what my sales team is doing in there? And so that is another one. Sorry, my GoToMeeting thing's in the way here. All right. That is another one where we talk about creating groups to show history entries. So that's so something to clarify, and Terry or John jump in here. History entries are what has been done. So if you want to see what your team did last week, as far as phone calls they completed, that would be a history item. And again, you want to give them metrics for those. And I think our next question goes into the activities. Yeah. So then something that you want to see what they're going to do next month. So for the future is an activity, right? So there's scheduling an activity. So when you're making those groups, remember, if you want to see past, it's a history. And if you want to see forward, it's an activity group. And then you can give them metrics, right, that they have to complete each week. So if you want them to complete 10 phone calls or have 10 phone calls scheduled, just remember which entity to pull from to get those groups. All right. What is the sales pipeline? What's in the sales pipeline? So a lot of sales leaders ask us this. They want to know, right, what's coming up. And so ensure that your users are updating the stages in the opportunity. Make sure you're using opportunities, right? That's a big one. And then make sure that they're updating their estimated close date. They're updating the close probability. They're adding notes and histories. They're scheduling activities, right, to stay on top of the opportunities. And just like the other items, right, once they're doing that, you have the data, and now you can make a group and dashboard with the funnel, right, that shows your actual sales pipeline by the numbers.
And I've seen this managed in a variety of ways. It depends on how you want to manage your pipeline. Some people like an automated calculation of probability to close based on where you're at in the pipeline. Some people don't. Some people want to just use a judgment. And then we have some customers that do it based on a combination of what the stage is and what the nearness to the completion date is. So if the expected close date is within a month, then the ranking of that opportunity may change just because we moved into a new month. And so the date time period has changed. It's within 30 days and it gets updated. But however you do that, it's important to just make sure that the users are aware of what you're using that pipeline for and how they're managing it.
All right, let's see what we have next. How should we manage activities? So the big thing we put here, right, is don't let past due activities become an issue, right? So if the person cancels or moves it, make sure you're updating that. So you don't just leave an old activity and then create a new one for the next week. Reschedule it or cancel it, right? So that your notes can be in there so that your manager is aware of why the meeting or phone call didn't take place. And then all open opportunities, open tickets, active customers, we feel that a best practice is, those should all have a pending activity, right? So that there's a pending action to keep them all moving along to a close point. So that, again, you can keep good data that you can then use to analyze what's going on with your business.
So I want to add something to this one too, is one of the things that we see happen a lot is users will just dismiss the activity. What that does is it still leaves it in the system, and this is what causes those annoying pop-ups that come up that says you have this big long list of activities that need to be completed. So it starts to build up on these dismissed activities, because dismissing one doesn't make it go away. Dismissing it just basically pauses it, and then it's going to remind you that you have this open activity, and those just start building up over time. So the best use of this is to always complete an activity, or like Jessica was saying, schedule it, move it out to the future if you're not ready to complete it right then. That way you don't get that buildup of dismissed activities. So that's just something that kind of I've seen in the past where users are complaining about this thing popping up on their screen all the time about all these activities, and that's why it happens.
Yeah, and dismissed activities is, again, useless data, right? If you just keep dismissing and not holding them accountable to doing it, now you just have more and more useless data in the CRM. You want the, the reporting out of it.
I would say another thing I see regarding the activities is that some users like working in Outlook and don't really like working with activities in Infor CRM, and just because of what they're used to before they move to Infor CRM. And sometimes that makes it less powerful than what it could be. So for example, if you're scheduling all your to-dos and your phone calls in Outlook, but not thinking that into Infor CRM, then there's really no way for you to interrogate CRM to find out what's going on. And I like to keep groups of not only my open opportunities, but open opportunities that don't have any future activity planned, because that should be a red flag for me. Same thing with open tickets. And then for active customers, I like to keep track of what customers have we not touched within the last 60 or 90 days and don't have pending activities or plans to touch them. So it's important, I think, to make sure that your overall activity management includes planning for the activities and reviewing customers or customer activity that you don't see any history or pending activities on.
Good points there. Oh, whoops. We had one there on. So I would say same thing with tickets, right? Just like John was saying, and just same as the activities, right? Making sure they're updated, making sure you close them out with some sort of completion and a resolution so that you can use that data and information going forward. All right, this one is pretty often too. My Xbar disappeared. Now sometimes it's simply the user X'd out the Xbar and they don't know that at the top in the ribbon there's an Xbar tab and you can turn the panel on and off. So sometimes it's just that simple, but other times Office has updates and your IT team will update all your Office products and it will conflict with Xbar. John, Terry, you might want to talk more to this, but it will stop displaying and we can help you get that back on, and sometimes your IT team knows how to as well.
And this is mostly because that Xbar is installed on top of the Outlook. So when Office does its updates, it basically steps on that program on top of the Xbar. So what that means is Xbar can't function because it might have Office updated files that Xbar is using, so Xbar can't find them now because they're named differently, have different versions, that type of thing. So basically, we have to go in and refresh Xbar to kind of wake it up so that it says, oh, we have a new version to work with. That's what's going on there. So
that makes sense.
Yeah, just contact us or your IT to get that kind of refreshed if that does happen.
Okay. All right. And then we get asked a lot, you know, why is there no help menu, or why doesn't Infor, you know, offer any help items? And we find that a lot of people are not aware that there are these question marks pretty much almost every window you're in, every pop-up window that opens up in CRM. There's always in the right-hand corner a little black question mark. And if you click that, it's hyperlinked and it'll launch you to a web help menu. And you can even navigate and search within that for other items. And there's all kinds of definitions of what things are, what actions can be taken on that page, and how to use them. So that's something you should get familiar with if you're not aware. Right, I think the last one here is, can I create a reporting dashboard? And again, we touched on this in some previous webinars, so be sure to check out on the YouTube channel if you missed them. All the recordings are on there. But yes, the welcome screen on your left-hand side at the top is where all your dashboards live. So any group that you make in almost every entity in the CRM, you can promote to the dashboard and create a visual for it. And then you can jump back to the group from that dashboard as well. So you can make pie charts, you can make bar charts, line graphs, just a simple list. You can even embed an external website on your dashboard. So if there's a website that you're frequently going to, you can embed that and use it live right from CRM in that window and not leave. So there's lots that can be done with the dashboards in CRM. So I'm going to pause there, and I don't have any questions in the chat box. So who wants to be the first brave one to ask for something they want to see done in here? And I can pass presenter to Terry or John to show us. Feel free to come off mute. All right, let's see. We have something in the chat box here. Why can't we create a new opportunity from contacts? Who wants to take it? John or Terry? I'll give you presenter. I assign John.
Oh, okay.
All right, I'm passing it to you.
So I would say that
Sorry, you know me, I have to ask a million questions.
No, that's why we're here. Or John, do you want me to show my screen and show the CRM and you talk through it? What's easiest?
yeah, that would be good. Thanks, because I don't have it up.
Yep, no worries.
Right now.
Sorry, I put you on the spot there. All right, I have it up. So let's go to a contact. All right.
Right. So It's actually a good question. I don't really know why Infor hasn't provided that capability, because it wouldn't be that difficult to do. And that is a customization we could make, or we could add it as an enhancement request. But so when go ahead and click the plus sign there.
Looks
So
like looking
see
up.
what that's adding an account manager, or looking up an account manager.
So you can only add an existing opportunity, it looks like.
Yeah, so what this plus sign
correct.
does is just say that this contact is associated with an existing opportunity, right?
Correct,
So,
right.
but what you can't, and some of the reason for this not allowing us to add is because there's a setting in the tools and options that says, when I create a new opportunity, add no contacts, or add the primary contact to the account on that opportunity, or add all contacts to the opportunity I've created. So what they've done is they've said that you can add a person to an opportunity here or in the opportunity, but you can also right click on your new menu and go to opportunity, or you can click on the new, or you can, in your left navigation, right click on opportunities and do a new opportunity. And if you do that, it will click in and create the new opportunity, but it's going to follow that rule that's set in your settings on which contacts are associated, right? So in this case, I can look at this and I can see right off the bat that this setting is set to bring in only the primary contact to any new opportunities. So the question is, yes, you can add new opportunities from the contact level, just use your menus and not that tab.
And it wouldn't necessarily pull in that contact as an opportunity contact, but then you could click on the plus sign and add that contact fairly easily.
Exactly. And again, it's just because it's following that rule. Can you go up to the tools and options? And then options. And then there's an opportunity tab. So on the bottom right, you see this default contacts. This is where you set the settings. Now, I don't recommend the all contacts. The primary is probably the best, or none. But this is that setting that it's following. So that's why it's configured that way on the contact opportunity tab screen. Hopefully that answers your question.
And you can set a default sales process here. I didn't know that. That's nice. So if you have several sales processes, you can make a default here. You can also set this. I've never seen this tab. Learning something new every time.
Helps answer. Thanks, Terry.
Say that again.
I think she said that helped.
Okay, good. Well, I made noise right at that moment and couldn't hear.
I'd like to piggyback on that question.
Sure.
Sorry.
So going back to the.
Sometimes I have difficult salesmen that likes to just click, one specific button and be done.
Nice.
I think we all have that. So when you're going back to the opportunity page in the contact, trying to add additional contacts, it brings up every contact in CRM. Is there a way to make it so that it first only shows contacts associated with that account instead of everybody? Now you can obviously search by look at the account and then only that account, but when you start getting into account names that are tricky spelling or have weird characters or spaces, it just seems like you're typically only going to be looking for the people in that account, the contact associated with it, and then you also have people that have oddly spelled names, or you're just a poor speller like me, and it's just difficult to find who you're looking for.
Yeah, so the short answer to that is yes, it's doable. It is a customization because out of the box it's given you the opportunity to add any account into the opportunity that might be a subcontractor, that type of thing, or retailer or distributor. So the concept behind this is it crosses the account lines. But to your thought process here is, if your business process is fairly limited to, we really just talk to the people on the account, then the answer to that is yes, we can adjust this, but it would be customization. So it would, charge some support time.
I still would want to be able to, if it's, because often there are contractors outside of the account that we need to pull in. So I would want to have the option, if it's not associated, you can still add someone that is outside of that account.
Yeah, back in the days where people were using the land client, that is actually how it worked. It by default opened up the contacts within the account, and then if you wanted to search outside of the account, you could. So that would be a good enhancement request, or like Terry said, we could customize it.
And an enhancement report of going back to what you used to have, the old stuff was better.
Well, in essence, right, when they migrated to the web, they went with a more generic lookup and felt that was the right way to do it. But like you said, it does make it a little bit more frustrating if the bulk of the time you're trying to just add the contacts for that particular account.
Thank you.
Thanks, John. All right, what else can we review? Does anyone have questions on? I know there's always a lot of questions on how to get certain groups. Do we want to look at building a certain group to see anything? Do we want to take a look at dashboards? Anybody have anything related to that?
Yep, this is free time. So if anybody has anything that's bugging them in the system, or anything that you want to know, how do we do that? Would you like us to go over anything in the new version? So this is the new version you see here. So this is the most recent that's been released from Infor. So if you have any questions associated with that, like there's new activity functionality in the new version. So you can actually, so if you remember when you're doing your activities and histories, you could only, in the older versions, you can only record that history or that activity against the account, contact, opportunity, or ticket. They've actually opened that up now, and you can associate a history now with sales orders, with a quote. So it has this new section here on the right side where you can pick any of the records in the system to associate that email or activity with. And this is brand new functionality. They've actually revamped the whole activity section. So now even when you go in activities, it's going to look a lot like what you see on the other levels. And you have additional groups that you can create and everything. So you can associate like a sales order. You could not do that in the older version. You have to currently you're only able to see just those other 4 levels. So what this means is on the sales order, on a defect, on a quote, they've added an additional tab on that level called Notes and History and Activities. So now you can actually see an activity associated with a sales order. That's completely new. So this is brand new functionality they've added.
So Jessica brought up groups. In the new version, have they fixed the bug where you can't see who the group is shared to when you're on the web client?
Yeah, that was a defect. Go ahead and hit OK on that one, and then right click on one of your groups. No, not on the activities. That won't be a good one. That is a defect I know I've hit too. So and just click the share button.
Oh, sorry, it popped up on my other screen here. Yeah, it used to show here.
Yeah, I don't know if this one's been shared though. Cancel this. Go to something like latest accounts. That one is an R. Somebody's created that one. So
Yeah, here it is here.
yeah. So see now it's showing it up there. And now that's the everyone group, but
Here, let me
I
share.
don't know that we've shared any. If you share that to a certain person and then open it back up.
Ugh, the window keeps going off. So yeah, now it shows who it's shared with.
So now, yeah. So they've corrected that.
Is that true for the pick list too? When you if you modified a pick list, it was problematic and had to really go through the admin on the server.
Managing.
I haven't tested that in the new version, tell you the truth. But
I
think-
haven't either.
But I think they have. That's a good question. Jonathan, you're really hitting us up here.
And then, do we have to upgrade to get these fixes, or is this something that we could submit a hot, hot fix for it with the showing the business need?
I think if you can ask, or we can ask, you can ask for them to hotfix back to a different version. So if it's now, they won't be able to do it like a major change, like that activity change. But if it's a fix, especially if they've got a defect against it, you definitely can ask them to port that back to an older version.
Yeah, because I don't view this as a product enhancement. This is a fix to a bug that should have never made it to production.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, agreed. And so if you can locate that, or even just ask them, hey, this is a current problem we're having. I see it's fixed in the new version. I can't upgrade right now, but it's a big problem. Can you port this back to my version? And that's when they'll create a hotfix. We apply it, and then you'll get the change.
Well, I'm tapped out. I was hoping other people would be thinking beyond what I'm thinking, and I can learn from them.
Let's see. Trying to think of some other common stuff I've seen this week.
Hey, it's Payne here from Resolute. Do we still not have the ability to create custom groups in the activities section?
Yes.
The new version, yes.
You sure do. So
perfect.
you'll see you can now, so that's what that menu just brought up another point that I didn't even bring up. So previously when you were looking for something, you had to remember what account it was, or go to your activities big list or your calendar to find an activity. You now have the ability to do a lookup. You can actually look up an activity based on, I haven't even tried it yet, but because they've changed that whole activity module, it now matches the other capabilities in the system, the other entities. So just like an account, you can now search for an activity associated with, like she's doing here, like accounts. So that is definitely a new change. So, because you could never search for an activity before. Now I can see everything for Abbott, right? Or I can see everything for a certain person, which you could use your filters for that. But now you can actually do a standard lookup.
And part of what they needed to re-architect in order to provide this functionality was that they had to explode recurring events or activities into individual activities. So that way they could be used in a group or used in a lookup. So now if you schedule a recurring activity, it's actually creating an activity for each of those occurrences within that schedule.
It also gives, in the new mobile version, you can do unscheduled events, so they can record time against a visit if they're on the road and they have an unplanned stop. They can now schedule and complete in one step on their phone. So that's a nice feature for those that are on the road and busy.
Yeah, and the mobile just got upgraded to 4.2, so we've got a new mobile version as well as a new web client version available. And it basically, it was bringing in that new activity changes that they incorporated here in the web client. Nobody has anything else?
Anybody want to talk about dashboards? Anyone have a dashboard they would like to see created? So here's some examples here. Get my Flash player going.
And within that dashboard, that's another feature. That's an area that's being enhanced in the 8.5 release that they're currently developing. They're adding additional capabilities for different types of controls within the dashboard so that you can create like multi-layered bar charts and line charts, and there's a variety of additional widgets that are being added within the dashboard.
Yeah, so like on the bar chart or the column chart you see here, you'll have that comparison where you have two different colors. So basically the dashboards now, the widgets are 2D, right? They're only 2 layers. You can have a metric and a dimension. They're actually adding additional parameters within those widgets so you can have more layering to your data. And that's been a long time coming too. So we're really on the edge of our seats for that one, because that's just going to take the web dashboards and move them way forward. And so what you see here is going to be increased. You're going to have more options to choose from. And they showed us some preliminary views of it, and it's exactly what people have been asking for. So you can do comparisons, you know, between your data, which is really needed.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, I guess if we don't have any other questions, we can end early for the day, unless John or Terry can think of anything else we want to walk through. Oh, wait, here, something popped in. Let's see here. Looks like Terry and I touched on processes, but we cannot create new processes in the web client. Is that still correct? Kelly, are you referring to the sales process? Because would be a yes. You have to use either the land client, or is it the app architect that you do that in, or the
Just the architect, not app architect, just architect.
It's the architect.
I think so, yeah. Terry and I were touching on it. Yeah, Terry, do you remember touching on that at one point when we were trying to do something?
Correct. Yeah, and the sales process
I don't know
has.
if you can hear me.
Yeah, you're breaking up a little bit, but I think I heard enough. Yeah, the sales process is still a development type item. It's been around for a long time, and they have not bumped that up. John, do you recall if they've said anything about sales processes?
I don't think they have.
Yeah, I didn't think they had either.
Yeah,
so I don't know
actually,
that that's on their.
We should put it on the list to go back to them and ask where that's at in the pipeline for the roadmap.
All right. I got that down. All right. Anybody else have anything they want to review or look at? Otherwise,
Since we're going down this road of improvements, if you go into to create the group and go to something like Manager ID, in the cloud version, you have to know the ID to type in. When you're on the plan part, it'll show you the ID and the real name with it. Have they patched that?
On a group?
Yeah,
are you referring to like activity types or?
So when you put in the condition and you're then selecting like account manager ID,
Oh,
and then you go to the browse, it either is blank sometimes or it's literally just the numbers. But if you're in the land client, it'll show you the real name with it as well. So it's easier to find. Yeah, it looks just like that in the land. So they fixed it. So there's several things I'm going to make my business case on hot batching us. Thank you.
Sure.
All right. All right. Anything else? All right. Well, as always, everyone, thanks for your time. If you think of something after, shoot us an email. We're all here. And I'll have this recording out later today, and it will be on our YouTube channel. So thanks, John and Terry, for your time as well.
you're welcome.
Absolutely.
Have a good day, everyone. Have a good weekend.
Thanks.